escaping into the brilliant world of Kim Mansur. Rosalie Fabre, chief curator, Garage Cosmos / Belgium. Kim Mansur paints arrangements of geometric shapes and patterns, of bright color fields into semi-abstracted still lifes and interiors. If hung together in a room, his paintings make up three-dimensional environments, like a trompe-l'oeil installation. He dresses up white walls with his own unwavering vision, creating inviting environments to delve into and live in. Working as an artist for over 40 years, he has concocted and perfected for himself and those who venture into his world a backdrop for contemporary Korean society as he would like it to look like. He combines various visual elements of traditional Korean culture into landscapes of the mind. Objectivity and subjectivity merge with one another, dream and reality intermingle. He plays with composition, color, and scale to destabilize the viewers so cultural reference may take up new meaning, offering new lives to those ubiquitous symbols. Indeed, Kim Mansur is not preoccupied with the symbolic meaning of the objects and motifs he depicts. Instead, he looks at them afresh, placing them in his paintings so as to set the scenes for new narratives to emerge. Thereby, his paintings may be interpreted and appreciated by an international audience. As in pop art, bright colors and strong lines seem to be selling a lifestyle, while at the same time condoning it. Kim Mansur paints scholars' objects such as paint brushes, brush pots, paper scrolls, ink stones, scroll weights and scholars' rocks, as well as the mountains and pavilions in bamboo forests scholars would retreat to in the past, to present the appeal of a scholarly lifestyle which entails self-cultivation, intellectual curiosity, artistic pursuit, and ethical behavior, to campaign against and counterbalance modern consumerist trends. He uses eye-catching contrasting colors and decorative patterns to lure the viewer into seeing the beauty of tradition and the place it ought to have in contemporary society. As such, Kim Mansur is advertising a new modernity, not one borrowed from the West but one intrinsically Korean both in content and style. The pure formality of his paintings, the simplicity of shapes and motifs, and their playfulness, although reminiscent of the flat and decorative manner in which Matisse painted interiors, are characteristic of Korean aesthetics as can be seen in painting, calligraphy, sculpture, lacquerware, and ceramics. Furthermore, the flora and fauna which inhabit his paintings of interiors suggest a harmony between man and nature, which is also a distinctive feature of Korean aesthetics. What if modernity had arisen in Asia? What would our contemporary world look like? Kim Mansur reshuffles the cards in his paintings. Through cultural references and meticulous, balanced compositions, he is able to reinstate into contemporary culture a sense of refinement that is deeply rooted in Korean traditional culture. Kim Mansur started to paint using oils in a Western style inspired by Cezanne and Picasso. In the 1970s, discovering the work of Nam June Paik in his favorite magazine Art in America may have contributed to his decision, halfway into his career, to find his own DNA as a Korean artist. His paintings became unashamedly attractive and unashamedly Korean. He especially appreciates the paintings of Kim Hong-doo, 1745–1806, one of the Joseon dynasty's three greatest painters, who was the first to depict the everyday life of ordinary people, much like 17th-century Dutch painters had. Kim Mansur aims to restore a sense of cultural identity which had been lost due to the Japanese occupation of Korea from 1910 until the end of World War II, when Korean culture became infused with Japanese elements and diffused as a result. He is recuperating what had been lost, that is a sense of national identity, his paintings like treasure chests of Korean legacy. He renders the past alive again, through his own reinterpretation of art historical references. Antique shops provide him with the contents for his paintings. He had always had a passion for antiques and developed a strong connoisseurship by visiting antique shops and collecting, with a soft spot for blue and white ceramics. Many of his canvases feature the blue and white wares first created by Korean potters in the 15th century, who were inspired by early Yuan and Ming models from China but kept decoration to a minimum so as to emphasize the milky white background. His connoisseurship allows him to paint such antiques by memory and to recreate details. Depicting fine works of art and scholars' objects together with folk themes, he juxtaposes aspects of Korean high and popular culture. Interestingly, he most admires the mindset proposed by the literati, who also painted from memory, yet prefers the vocabulary of folk art for its ability to communicate with a wider audience. His paintings can thus be seen to challenge the long-standing distinction between professional and literati painters first established in China, that proves invalid nowadays. Thus Kim Man-soo reinvents Korean folk art or minhwae, literally popular painting or painting of the people, which was an affordable, readily accessible form of decoration which reflected contemporary art styles and trends. Minhwae started to be produced in the 17th century and became widely commissioned in the 18th century by nobles as well as common people following socio-economic prosperity and the rise of a middle class. They were purchased for important celebrations for they carried auspicious meaning. The birds, insects, plants, and fruits which thrive in Kim Man-soo's paintings were among many pictorial tropes that carried beneficial virtues, such as happiness, longevity, and prosperity, and bestowed protection against evil forces. Those auspicious themes typically depicted in minhwae represented people's dreams and wishes. Kim Man-soo gives them a new-found appeal in his free compositions. He reinterprets a genre of minhwae called chaikgyori, translated as books and things, still life paintings of books, ceramics, bronzes, flowers, fruits and writing implements, which reflected a tendency for antiquarianism in the late Joseon period. Chaikgyori are divided into three types according to composition: bookcase, isolated and stacked. Kim Man-soo's compositions are in the manner of both isolated and stacked chaikgyori, some objects floating in space against empty backgrounds while others are stacked one upon the other. Because minhwae was not restricted by rules, it allowed for a freedom of expression which he makes good use of as he flattens forms and disregards realistic scale, color, and volumes. He thus updates minhwae so it may be re-evaluated, to remedy a lack of appreciation for it as an art form. Kim Man-soo's paintings reflect contemporary art practices, just like minhwae used to, not only stylistically with their graphic shapes and bold colors, but also in their approach. Contemporary art needs to constantly innovate and reinvent itself. Kim Man-soo does exactly that when he breaks free from categorization, erasing the boundary between fine and folk art, and demonstrating that it is possible to reclaim the minhwae tradition and turn it into contemporary art. By doing so, he is able to radically contest the supremacy of high art together with the pretensions of other contemporary avant-garde art.